Hi, this is Dr. Robert with the Posit Podcast. You'll notice today that Dr. Sam is not here introducing the podcast, but I do have two other awesome guests from D.R.E.A.M Pet Treats joining me today. I've got Jaime Cooper and Paul Paige. Guys, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for having you guys. Thanks for being here today. I met both of you guys, well, at least Jaime, for example, back at Super Zoo. And one of the big things in our industry is there's so many different dog foods out there. And how do you find the right one for your pet? And what kind of makes them special? And after kind of hearing about your guys' story at Super Zoo, I was like, hey, I'd love for you guys to get a chance to share what you guys do, because I think it's something special, it's a little more unique. So I'd love for you guys to tell me a little bit about D.R.E.A.M Pet Treats.
We can do that. So D.R.E.A.M stands for Dogs Rule Everything Around Me, right?
All right.
An old play off the the classic Wu-Tang song, Cash Rules Everything Around Me.
All right, right on.
Yeah, we're a limited ingredient, all natural dog treat company, founded in 2021. So Paul and I are veterans of the pet industry. Paul has years of experience working with Purina. I have a bunch of experience working with ingredient suppliers throughout the industry. So it was that experience that kind of led us to starting D.R.E.A.M.
Right on. And I guess, starting from there, how did you guys both get into the pet industry in the first place? Because obviously you have the experience, but what kind of led you into, it's a big industry, and I'm curious how you guys got into it.
For me, it was by accident, honestly.
Okay.
I was looking for a new job back in I want to say like probably 2014.
Okay.
I liked the sales aspect of what I was doing, but I didn't like the industry, so I was in finance.
Okay.
I submitted an application for what I thought was Nestle.
Oh.
It ended up being Nestle Purina.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I found myself in the pet food industry by accident, looking for another job. But I mean, it's a great industry to be in. It's a lot of fun, honestly. Working for Nestle just gave me a bigger picture of what the opportunities are within the industry. Then I transitioned out of the CPG and the brand side over to the ingredient side with Jaime. That gave us a bit of a different understanding around the B2B side on the ingredient sales in the manufacturing process. So from that, I mean, Jaime mentioned it earlier, we have a ton of experience in different areas within the pet food space that kind of make us uniquely qualified for starting our own brand.
Yeah. So interesting. I did not know that story.
Oh, so there you go.
Obviously knew he worked at Purina, but did not know how he got there. Right. So for me, I took a little bit of a different route. I spent 10 years working for an insurance company, starting in sales and then working my way up to director of sales. And then interestingly enough, the person that connected Paul and I, he had taken a role as director of sales at an ingredient supplier. He was looking to remake the sales team, right? He wanted to bring in people that were not of the industry. And I had we go way back, as far as experience in sales. So he gave me a call. And he said, hey, listen, I have this opportunity. I'm trying to build a sales team out. We need people who bring a different a viewpoint on the industry, right? We need to bring a different energy to the sales team. Do you mind, taking a look at the opportunity? I did interview, I think went through 5 rounds of interviews, and ultimately ended up moving into the pet industry. So that was 2017, 2018. So 5 years ago. So I've been in the industry ever since. Once you get into it, you realize the weird thing about pet is, like, obviously, we're talking multi-billion dollar industry. It's also very small, right? As far as the people that exist in it.
Yeah.
Right. So
everybody knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Everybody.
Everybody. So you learn that really quickly. You especially in sales, right? You learn how to make contacts and build relationships and things like that. So it's been, it's been a fun, 5 or 6 years in this industry.
Right on. And I think you guys hit it around the nail on the head, because it is a very small industry, and sometimes it's a great thing because you can meet people really well and you have great connections.
Right.
It's a very bad thing because if you screw up somewhere,
yes,
everybody knows about it quite a bit. So, but fortunately, you guys have a good track record so far, which is great. So that's obviously a good leading foot into things. And then kind of what inspired you guys to transition into your own company?
Yeah. So Paul called me one day, right? We're, working at the same company.
So he's the instigator of this. All right, good to know.
A little bit.
He's the instigator of a lot of things.
That's
We'll save that for a conversation offline. And he said, listen, I have this idea. He said, think about this. He said, when we go to these conferences, whether it's, and obviously not to, talk bad about any conference, but if we go to Super Zoo, we go to Pet Food Forum, or we go to Global Pet, right? You look at the emerging brands and new trends, like how often do you see someone either starting a brand or an existing brand, or even anyone in the industry that looks like us, right? And maybe we'll get into this later, but a lot of time when you think about, the pet industry and how do we market, a lot, and I've talked about this, a lot of it is very similar in how they talk to their customer, right?
Absolutely.
Man, what if we create, and what if we start something that speaks to us, right? Paul and I, not to age ourselves, both in the 80s, right? Music, right? Rap music, all those different type of things. And we thought to ourselves that there's really nothing in the industry that kind of mirrors our lifestyle and how we grew up. So he's telling me this, and at first I'm like, oh, this is an idea. He's just telling me.
Sure.
Hang up the phone. I go to my wife and I'm like, hey, just had this conversation with Paul. This is what we're talking about, blah, blah, blah. She's like, why are you telling me this? Like, go do it, right? Call Paul back. Like, hey, man, I want in.
Hey, that's an awesome significant partner. Props to her, because I think
yeah, 100%.
That's a tough journey. They know that's if anybody's done the entrepreneurial life, it's not an easy one. It takes you away from your family sometimes. It's day, night, weekends. There's no easy life to it. So kudos to her for being supportive of that. That's a big deal.
100%. So, and then, from that conversation, it just took off, right? And now we have the pleasure of sitting in front of you and having this conversation. What would have thought?
Yeah, no, that's the whole point, man. That's why I loved, and honestly, I think you were doing your pitch, and I think you initially joked about doing a rap, and I was like, dude, please do this. That'd be so awesome for an introduction.
Oh, no one wants it. Now, I will say, because we talk about this all the time, and we're in the process of doing, working on the deck for another pitch. And there is, if people are being honest,
yep,
right, there's not a single person, I'm sure there's one person, who has not sat in front of a mirror or been at a wedding who has tried to rap. Right?
Yep. That's fair. That's fair.
I won't put you on the spot and ask.
Thank God.
Right?
Thank God.
Yes. But I mean, we talk to a lot of people about this genre, right? This culture that we grow up in, and this music that we listen to is like the great unifier, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has their favorite rap song. Everyone has their favorite rap artist, right?
Yeah.
Those are things, right? It's very rare these days that we can find things that we can talk about and it doesn't become an argument.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
And music, for the most part, is one of those things that are still in 2023 we can still talk about.
Yeah. I love that. That's actually a great way to buy, because I just got back from when we were young. It's a concert in Vegas, and it's like Blink-182 and Green Day, but like from all walks of life. They're all just vibing out. They're enjoying themselves. Everybody's getting along, and it's kind of like this unifying subject that really just gets everybody on the same page and then kind of resolves all differences for a short time. And that's kind of a really cool thing about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because when we think about how we market and how we brand, it's through a community. And it's we try to find the intersection between the two things that people really love the most, and music and their pets, and specifically dogs. Like we grew up with dogs, we have dogs. Like it's one of those things where it's a lived experience. Mm-hmm. And hip hop for us is a lived experience. It's how we dress, how we talk, how we communicate. Like it's just, quite honestly, when I came up with the idea, I was kind of surprised that there's nothing out there. Like, right? I mean, we're operating in this white or gray space, however you want to call it, in which we're literally creating something new inside of pet food, which is it's hard. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very hard. Messaging and all that kind of stuff to get people to understand what we're doing is sometimes difficult, but it's completely worth it.
That's great. And being an entrepreneur is tough, man. It's and again, it's a tough industry because, again, if you walk into Super Zoo, for those that don't know, it's like 1,200 companies, all about pets. It's chaos when you walk in there, and there's probably 100 to 200 dog food companies alone in there. And a lot of them are trying to sell the same things. And again, you guys stood out, which I think is a really tough thing to do. And so I'd love to hear, like I said, you have your background. How have you now, the most important part, incorporate that into your guys' food? The names, like how is that all being incorporated into your guys' your brand?
You go ahead.
No, I think one of the things that when we look at our industry experience and our knowledge of pet food and pet treats in general, you have to have, in this day and age, it has to be a healthy for you, lack of better terms, or healthy option to feed your dog specifically. So when we were coming up with the ingredients, we knew we wanted to do limited ingredients, and we wanted to do ingredients that were easy to pronounce as well as functional for your pet. So in your treating experience, it creates a benefit for you to be able to feed and also enjoy the interaction with your pet or with your dog, right? So it's an understanding of, in the treating and in the feeding experience, it has to be healthy.
Yeah.
That is, no matter how you want to frame it, whether you call it a trend or whether you want to call it, that's just where the industry is now. And if you're not coming with those options, even as a new brand, you probably already failed. So I think it's important for us in developing these treats with our honey cinnamon, our chicken and veggie, our barbecue bones, our maple bacon bones, our peanut butter chews. It was an understanding that they all have to be limited ingredient. They have to have natural ingredients, and they have to, when you look at the back of the bag, you have to be confident in what you're feeding.
Yeah. And actually, I love you guys' names. First of all, like they sound appealing to eat as a human. So hopefully the dogs, I'm sure, enjoy them just as much. But the names are they're killing it for me. They're really great.
So, a little, what do they call it? Inside baseball, or we are in the process of some rebranding and redesign. One of the things we talked about is changing the names of the flavors, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's play off of rap lyrics, like something more fun, right?
Yeah.
Keep the essence and energy, but make it more fun, right? So if any of your audience out there, they have suggestions for names, once they buy the treats, and feel free to send them over to us. But one thing that Paul left out, and we don't talk about a lot, and we probably should, we had an opportunity to take a formulation class, right, at Kansas State University, right? So this was 3 years ago, and sitting in that class, we learned two things, right? We learned one, and the most important thing, creating a formulation for pet food is a very difficult thing, right? If you don't have the background in it, right?
Yeah.
And then second, there's a way to create a treat or a food that is healthy without all of the fillers and the preservatives, right? Because those things are easy to do, right? Creating a product without those are a difficult thing that is still good for your pet. So, that was a benefit and a blessing for us, right? It gave us an insight into this industry, right? Because a lot of salespeople that we have a sales background. It's more, it's like, hey, I have a product, you need it, buy this, right? They gave us a framework to say, hey, we have a product, buy this, but this is the reason, right? This is how the ingredient that we're selling will fit into your product, right? This is how we'll make it more palatable, right? This is how, and then it works into, you market it this way, right? Your R&D team, so it just gave us a more holistic and complete insight into the pet industry, right? So, we come from a place that not a lot of people in our industry come from. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's been an advantage, and we're just trying to make sure that people understand it and we take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that you guys have technically two consumer groups. Like, you got to win the trust of the owner, but you also get the dog to like it too. Like you have two separate consumer groups. That's hard. Like you get them both to like what you're doing, and to balance out the nutritional side of things, the limited ingredients, trying to be healthy. It's not easy to do, and to do it well is tough. So
it's a cool thing. You're right, but here's where we have an advantage. Mm-hmm. 3 of our treats are human grade. So
really?
couldn't try them. And if
Have you?
like them,
Have you guys tried them?
yes, yeah.
All right.
So, and we're still here.
But we're still here.
Mild symptom. But yeah, I mean, you know, they are human grade. You can try them. We have a 14-year-old. He's tried them.
Right.
He's still right. So we can get the approval of the owner and the pet.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I'm glad to say. I was curious. Like, people tried their own treats because, you know, sometimes you're just like, is this any good or not? Would my dog like this? And I like to know what they're like.
It's funny that you said it. Like, just working in the pet food industry for so long, I think you can't avoid it. Like, I've tried multiple treats in my days at Parade, as well as the ingredient company we work for, just visiting different customers and having to work with new brands that they're going to launch, things like that. So I mean, I've personally tried too many trees to count on.
Let's get another again. You're still here, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so what do you guys think is probably the most surprising thing you guys have learned so far about your current journey?
I think, in full transparency, this is the first thing that I've personally done that it's an idea in your head, put it on paper, you might put it in a PowerPoint to make it a little bit fresh. You present it to someone that you think their feedback is going to be valuable to the idea. And he ends up saying like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. So from conception to reality, I think has been the most surprising thing for myself, in understanding that when you have an idea, when you have a vision for something, you really can just make it possible. You can do it. Like, it may be some of the hardest work, time-consuming things that you've attempted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you have something viable, and when you have good feedback, and when you have people coming to you and say, yeah, this is a great idea, it just gives you an extra motivation to see it all the way through. So minus the I guess the norm of entrepreneurial work, whereas everybody's saying, well, it's hard, but yes, but it's also joyful. Like, it's to understand, like, you've built something to now, and then you through various conversations, through different programs, through accelerators, you're going to get to a point where this is like, oh, like, I don't want to curse, but it's like, oh, this is real. Like, this is something that, like, is so sustainable now that this is like, it's amazing to see. So I think for me, like, that's what I see, and that's what's most surprising.
Right. Yeah. I second everything you said. I did not realize how saturated the market was.
Yeah.
And, you know, and saturated, I'm getting trouble or offend someone. Saturated with a lot of products that are not worth anything.
It's the power of branding that goes a long way. And I think that's what owners want to know the difference about, because I think they're starting to recognize there are 1,000 brands, and like, and no offense, there's some great companies out there, but they can have a great brand and they keep telling you, like, your dog's gonna look like a wolf afterwards. I'm sorry, your pug not gonna look like a wolf anytime soon. No, it's not. I think so.
Not how that works.
That's not how it works. Like, things have changed since then. Like, where the dogs have different needs than their wolf ancestors do. So, like, their needs are different, and I think recognizing that and trying to get to the meat of where the value is tough.
Yeah, not customers. Brands are lazy, right? So it's like, you know, people ask us a lot of times, you know, how do you market? How do you talk to your customer and things like that? And it's like, for us, our customer wants something new and something fun and something fresh, right? Not, you know, because a lot of times the way pet food and pet treat works, when you ask someone, hey, what do you feed? And their answer is like one of two things, right? You know, I got, Johnny from the shelter. The shelter gave me a food. You know, he gave me food, right? This is what I feed, right? Yep. Or I had a dog growing up. This is what my parents fed, right? So it's and because of that, these brands, especially larger ones, they don't try, right? you don't try, right? So it takes like fun, new and different brands, right, to try to talk to the consumer in a different way, and try to make a connection to the consumer while also being the things that Hall talked about earlier, also being good for you, also being healthy. So we are, we're trying to, there's an intersection that we're trying to meet, right? Which is, being fun, being cool, being creative, being a dope brand. And then also still not having you worry about, what you're putting in your pet's body.
Yeah, I think so. That quality is always very important. And like you said, finding that intersection, it's tough, but if you can achieve it, it's something beautiful, I think, afterwards. If you can, that's why, like I said, you guys got the brand on point. I love it. It's pretty badass. Do you guys, what's probably the biggest challenge you guys have seen? Like maybe a roadblock that you guys didn't anticipate that was like, whoa, did not see this coming?
Man, there's a lot. I think we learned a lot just in the short time period. But there's a couple of examples that came up, but I won't speak in specifics, but just more in general. When you're building the brand, like you just don't know what you don't know. And a lot of it is the trial and error, whether you're marketing in a certain way and your voice isn't connecting, you don't know that until you try it.
Yeah.
With some of the manufacturing needs being interrupted with some of our treats at a certain point, that kind of stuff. I mean, you try to plan for it, but nothing ever goes right. So it's learning from those instances, putting plans in place to soften the blow, I think helps us now, and we're in our trajectory of where we want to go. I don't think you ever stop learning, especially in this world and this atmosphere. You just you learn from it, you pick it up, and then figure it out. Like there's no other option. So I mean, there's a lot of learnings that we've kind of had to take on the chin, and then regroup, connect, and then move forward from it. So
yeah, I think for me, and we actually had this conversation today. We've had it a couple of times this week. It's just about finding our voice, because both Paul and I come from the corporate world, right? Where your conversations are very unstructured, buttoned up, right? And that's, we can do that, right? We've done that, and that's, we've been successful at it. But that's not what this brand is, right? Yeah. We have to figure. We're in the process now of trying to figure out our voice and how we talk to the customer and how we use the language that we use and how to show people our personalities. How we are. And you and I talked the other day, and we're talking now, right? Showing that side of us to our customers, right, and to investors and whoever else we're speaking to, versus like the corporate side of it, right? Because there's a push and a pull that exists. So for us, it's just making sure we find our voice, and then making sure we show who we are to our customer, right? Like, people will get attached to our brands or to our brand because of who him and I are and our experience and in the treat. So you got to make sure that we show people that. So the answer to the question is, like, the struggle is, I don't say being ourselves, but just finding our voice and being comfortable showing it to everybody else.
To that point, I don't think you didn't start this to be more corporate,
right?
We did. I mean, but we've been in corporate so long that it's kind of hard to kind of transition out of that mold, but still be authentic to who we are.
Yeah,
and I think that's what we're trying to find, and we're getting there. It's just how does that land, and how do we communicate with the customer? So.
Yeah, and you'll know that we've been successful at it when you see the next TikTok video.
All right. Well, you get to share that with us so we can share it with our consumers, because I love just to share what's going on. Authenticity is huge. Like, I think that's what resonates with people these days, because they want to see something like that. So I think that's a very cool thing to like showcase.
Yeah, authenticity is huge to us, right? Milk-Bone couldn't do what we're doing.
Yeah,
right. It wouldn't be authentic, right? You can't roll out a brand that's that is tied to hip hop and be Milk-Bone.
Yeah,
right.
A little bit different.
Right. You can't. Milk-Bone can't roll out a brand and call it hip hop snacks, right? Yeah. No one's gonna believe it. Right. No one's gonna believe it, right?
Yeah.
But we can, right? Because it's it's authentic to us, right? It's our lived life, right? It's what we wear, it's how we talk, it's the music that we listen to. So for us, to your point, like, this is authentic, right? This is who we are, right? And this is how our dog, our pets. I don't dress my pet.
I don't.
I'm not one of those.
I don't either.
Nothing wrong with people that do, but I'm gonna hunt you and that doesn't work well.
No shots at anybody.
Right. But our dogs listen to what we listen to, right? Like, we try to incorporate don't let my wife hear this, but our kids listen to what we listen to, right? So it's our life. We want to bring people along with it, right? Because it's not just us. There's billions of people who listen to hip hop and grew up with their pets in the same way that we did. And it's not the way that they're marketed to and that they're talked to. They didn't grow up running with their dogs in fields and on a farm, right?
Yeah.
So again, we just want to be authentic, right? We want our brand to be authentic. We want our voice to be authentic.
Yep.
I think that's great. I think that's a great thing to achieve, and I think you're on your way to doing it personally. So I think that's the best part about it. And I guess the next steps then, what's your guys' future look like? What's your guys' goals in the next 3 to 5 years? What are you guys trying to achieve?
Yeah, we're just putting together a strategic roadmap. So
World domination.
Yeah,
World domination.
World domination. Yeah, I think there's definitely focuses that we want to prioritize, like our direct to consumer business, our Amazon business, different channel strategies, different marketing strategies, things like that. That'll just accelerate our growth, right? So it's a matter of putting those things into place, executing in the manner that we know that we can. But I mean, for like, if you talk to us in 20 years, we'll be doing complete and balanced formulations. It's a long time. Yeah.
I agree, like 5 years. We'll cut it back.
No, 20 years. Just saying 20 years, because when you look at a brand like Purina, they've been around over, like, you know what I mean? So that mainstay of 20 years, that's what, like, we are creating a brand that is sustainable in the market. So I'll change it to 5 years. In the next 5 years, we'll be doing complete and balanced formulations. We may roll out some cat treats. I don't know. We're divided on it. People have been asking, but I'm too offended. We're divided. Yeah, but we're visionaries. We dream big, pun intended.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, it's just a matter of consistent, constant growth to make this as big as it can be. Just mapping out those things, executing in the manner that we know we can, and then go from there.
Yeah, same. We want to be a lifestyle brand. So not just treats, not just food. We have our mascot. I don't see if you see his shirt.
Yeah, everybody check out our YouTube channel so you can check out their mascots. They're actually pretty awesome. So I love the brand that you guys have going with it.
So that's the Benny and then baby Benny. I don't know where he's right here. We want him and to be as synonymous as, like, when you see the Geico lizard.
Yeah.
A.M. from Allstate, right? Like, you see these people, right? It's tied to the brand, right? So we want to get as big as when you see Benny, you know that it's Dream. Yeah. We want to move into coloring books and plush toys and things like that. Like, we want our brand to be elastic, right? Like, we want to have something for everyone. Benny is a cool story, and I can't believe we haven't gotten into him. But I grew up with beagles.
Okay.
So Benny is a beagle. Has his name Benny the Beagle. Okay. And a friend of mine that I played football with in college, who's an artist, a really good one, has work at the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C. But when we were starting the brand, we went to him and we said, hey, we're starting this brand, it's marketed and branded after hip hop. Can you help us, create packaging and, a mascot and all that? And he's like, I got you. And we're getting off topic from that, where we see ourselves in 5 years.
No, but that's important too, man, because I was going to ask you about Benny anyway, because I was like, I didn't really got to ask about it. So you're good, man. You keep rolling.
So we said, hey, can you help us? He said, yeah, for sure. So we started doing some work. So we said, hey, this is what we want, right? 80s, 90s, 2000s. We want people to see the bag and we want them to understand. So he's like, cool. So he sends us like the first couple drafts of the bag and of Benny, and absolutely terrible.
It was bad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it was our fault, right? Because we inserted ourselves into the process, right?
Yeah.
So finally, Paul and I had a conversation. I'm like, man, we just need to let Van work. So we went to Van and I said, listen, don't listen to us. Do what you're going to do.
Go be an artist.
Yeah, go be an artist, right? And then he came back with Benny. And it was like, love at first sight is like, no, this works. Right.
It's cool.
Right. So we want to, and then so what I didn't tell Van is that, my family dogs growing up were beagles. Okay. Right. Like a full circle situation, right? You grow up as a kid with beagles, and then, you tag you put somebody in charge of something and they come back with something that resonates with you. Mm-hmm. Right. It couldn't have been more perfect, for me. So it's like, oh no, we're supposed to be doing this. Mm-hmm. Right. We look for signs like this is it. We're supposed to be doing this. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that we are able to tell that story in 5 to 10 years. Right. So you ask where we want to be. We want to still be out here, telling the story and making sure that people understand why we did this. So we got a lot of things cooking in 5 years. 5 years should be really exciting.
Yeah. I'd love to hear that, guys. And why Benny? Just is the name for Benny anything in particular?
I think it's just because it rolled off the tongue, Benny the Beagle.
Yeah,
that's cool. Alliteration's fine. We like it.
Yeah.
I wish there was a cooler story.
That's all right. We had Dr. Balto for our guy. It's not very creative. It's just whatever. So I got you. No worries. Well, if people want to buy Dream Pet Treats, where do they do that at? What's the best place to find it?
A couple different places. So dreampetco.com, right? Find everything you need there. We're also on Amazon.
Okay.
You can find us if you live in Atlanta or St. Louis or North Carolina, South Carolina. You can find us in stores there. Our footprint is growing. We'll save it for the next time that we talk. But we've got a partnership coming online with the grocery store. This should be significant for us. That will expand our footprint. But we're growing. But the easiest way, just go to dreampetco.com or Amazon, right?
Right on. I love that. And probably the most important question that we haven't asked yet. Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite artist?
Oh, yeah, easy. Jay-Z.
Jay-Z? Okay, good. All right.
Close second, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Okay, so now I got to be different.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I mean, that's all. We're almost the same age. I mean,
Beanie Siegel.
There you go. That's ties.
So Beanie Siegel. Beanie Siegel. Yeah. J. Cole.
We learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, it's the answer is Jay-Z, but we can't be out here saying the same thing.
It's nice to be different. Yeah, I got you guys. Just like you guys' brand, you guys are a little bit different. I think
we have to be like an old married couple, right? He says I've got to disagree. That's just how this thing goes.
There you go, guys. Well, honestly, I love what you guys are doing. I really appreciate you guys coming on today, sharing your guys' story. And if anybody does have questions for them, you can email podcast@mybalto.com. I'll make sure these fine gentlemen get that answer. And if you have any recommendations for lyrics, that can be a dog treat.
Yeah,
I'll make sure I pass that along because I think that's great. And honestly, I'm trying to think of something, but I am not that creative. That's why I have a team for that. But
time. You have time. Yeah. We don't need the answer today, so you have time.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll get some brainstorming together. But thank you guys again for being here today. I really appreciate your time. And this is the Posit Podcast. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.